Hi everyone, γεια σας και καλώς ήρθατε to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. If you like to meal prep or meal plan, this recipe is perfect for you. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make my Greek style chuck roast with balsamic and oregano. You just make it once and you can use it all week. It's delicious, full of flavor, takes a few minutes to put together, and then the oven does all of the work. You roast it until it's soft and tender and falling apart, and I'm going to teach you how to use it in so many different ways. Let's get started. We're going to begin with chuck roast. I get my chuck roast from Costco and it comes into this really big pack, and it's perfect for meal prepping or serving a larger crowd. So the recipe calls for 5 pounds, but this is a bigger pack that has this is almost 7 pounds of beef. I like to cut this into larger chunks because then it's easier to mix it into other recipes. You can of course just bake it whole like this and then just shred it up and use it in recipes as well. If you see bigger chunks of fat in the meat, you can just cut them out and discard them so that way you won't end up with a greasy dish. This is going to go into the baking pan and we're going to season it with salt and freshly cracked black pepper, and then we'll season with more oregano, 2 heaping teaspoons of Greek oregano. You could add a little bit more if you like. A teaspoon of sweet paprika and 2 bay leaves. I also like to add a little bit of cinnamon, half a teaspoon here for warmth. I have 1 large onion here. I'm just going to roughly chop it and add that to the pan as well. And now I'll just combine the remaining ingredients into this little bowl over here. You can add 2 tablespoons of tomato paste that gives it a little bit of Greek flavor, a 1/4 cup of balsamic vinegar. I like to add just a little bit more because we have more meat and it really tenderizes it, adds a little bit of sweetness and lots of depth of flavor. Garlic cloves, so 4 garlic cloves is what the recipe calls for. That's just the minimum requirement. We like to add much more around here. Add as much as your heart desires. I like to grate my garlic and keep it frozen. So I have a big chunk over here. I'll put it into the bowl. And then I'll mix this all together with 2 cups of beef broth. This is just going to get poured over the beef. No oil because chuck roast tends to be kind of fatty. And then this is going to get covered with some parchment paper and then aluminum foil. The parchment paper just goes in there to protect the aluminum foil from touching the meat. And then my oven is preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I did add a little bit more broth, I forgot to mention, just so that way the meat cooks evenly. You can add enough so that way it's covered half or 3/4 of the way up. This is going to bake in the oven for about 4 hours at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or until the meat is nice and tender and just falling apart. Once it comes out of the oven, let it cool completely, and then you can transfer it either in a freezer safe container. If you're going to be using it throughout the week, then you can just put it in a regular container that you would put in the refrigerator. This can also go in freezer safe bags because it freezes well up for 2 to 3 months. So that is just, it's perfect to have on hand for those busy weeknights. You can make so many things with it and I'll go over that next. But the beef is ready and it's tender and just so delicious. And there you have it. My balsamic and oregano roast beef is ready. This is going to be perfect to use in so many recipes, as we said. So you can serve this tonight, of course, the night that you're going to make it, either over rice, like rice bowls with some salad. You can roast potatoes and vegetables and make another salad on the side. So delicious and simple and easy. But if you're storing it to use at another time, you can put it in a container with all of its juices. Make sure that you store the beef in all of its juices, let it cool completely, and then transfer it into either an airtight container. You can also put this in freezer safe bags. Again, put all of that delicious juice in there. It's going to keep the meat moist and so flavorful. If you're freezing it, it will keep fresh in the freezer up to 3 months. If you're using it frozen, then you're going to want to thaw it out in your refrigerator the night before, and then you can use it in so many different recipes that I'm going to show you how to do today. It'll keep fresh in the refrigerator as long as it's in an airtight container. So let's make our Greek-inspired beef and cheese quesadillas. So these are so simple to do. If you're using leftover cold chuck roast beef, then you're going to want to take some of it with some of the sauce and put it into a saucepan or a frying pan. Cover it up and let this heat low and slow on your stovetop until it's really nice and hot. You want to make sure that it's heated all the way through, and then you can break it up and shred it up so that you can use it over your pitas. So these are Greek-inspired quesadillas. Usually those are made using tortillas, but today I'm using pitas for this. You can use any flatbread, you can use a tortilla if you like. You're just gonna toast the bread first. I like to toast the bread on my countertop oven. I love this oven. It's in my Amazon shop. I'll put the link down below so you can get one too. It's beautiful. It air fries, bakes, and does not heat up your whole house. But you can just toast these up wherever you like, in the toaster or even in a frying pan, just so that way when they're baking later on with all of the toppings, you don't want the bottom of the pita to be soggy. You want it to be nice and toasted. So just toast it for a few minutes, take it out of the oven. In the meantime, the beef is cooking over your stovetop. That just also takes a couple of minutes. And then we're gonna top these with your favorite cheese. So today I have this Mexican blend of cheese that I'm using, but you can use shredded mozzarella, you can use Gouda, whatever you like. Put a layer of that on top of the pita bread, then some baby spinach leaves are gonna go on top of that. Keep in mind that once spinach leaves cook up, they basically wilt down to almost nothing, so pile them nice and high. And then I like to top it off with some feta cheese. This is gonna go back into the oven in the toaster setting, and it'll toast for about 5 minutes. The spinach is gonna wilt, the cheese is gonna melt, and the feta is gonna get nice and soft. You can turn it on the broiler setting for 1 or 2 minutes just for some extra crispiness on that bread and on the pita. Then we're gonna top it off with the shredded warmed roast beef. I made a delicious yogurt harissa sauce for this that's super simple to make. We just combine some Greek yogurt, a couple tablespoons of your favorite harissa sauce, a little bit of olive oil, and if you have lemon juice, you could use about a tablespoon of lemon juice. I'm using white balsamic, but you can use a white vinegar if you'd like. A little sprinkle of salt, mix it all up and give it a taste and adjust the seasoning if it's needed. You can put the sauce into the pitas, or you can use it as a dipping sauce on the side. This is so simple to make, it full of flavor. Stay tuned for the other 3 ways to use up the roast beef. Those are coming up next. If you'd like to print these recipes out, head on over to the website, dimitrasdishes.com. I hope you guys give this recipe a try and I hope you enjoy it. Yes, us.